2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the palatial yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network, sitting on top of the 10th floor, 345 Hudson Street in beautiful New York City. This is a Friday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all the great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and of course streaming live on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in, 855-212-4227. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter X at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. Randy Moller is going to stop by coming up at 5:20 p.m. Eastern time today, 2:20 p.m. Pacific. He is the longtime Florida Panthers analyst, used to be their play-by-play man, and played in the NHL for a bunch of years. You know, I understand that hockey isn't for everyone, and I know I'm an enormous hockey fan. If you listen to this show, you know that. So I'm not going to lead the show with hockey today, but I just want to warn everybody. I don't know when it's going to happen, but there is going to be a moment during this show today that the volcanic eruption of Zach Gelb is going to occur, because I am PO'd and I am angry today with that Rangers performance that I got to witness last night at Madison Square Garden. So I'm not going to put the listener in Texas right now, or the listener in California, or, Des Moines, Iowa, or Oregon through the first 20 minutes of the show just being me complaining, ranting, and freaking out over my hockey team, who is one loss away from getting eliminated, and that could happen as soon as tomorrow evening. So put that on tap, all righty? A Zach Gelb rant is coming today because there's two things in the reaction to last night that I do want to emphasize, and you know me, I will emphasize it on this show. Stuart Kovacs and Moist Mike here with me. I got to start off with the NBA Finals that we now know is going to happen. It was inevitable. I did think Minnesota was going to win last night, and then Dallas would take care of them in 6 games, and we would have Dallas going up against Boston. Well, you are getting Dallas going up against Boston, but it ended up being in 5 games that Dallas was able to take care of Minnesota. What an embarrassing performance, number one, by Minnesota. You finally get on the board in this series. It's 3-1, and you're just trying to send this baby back to Dallas to try to maybe put some fear in the Mavericks. And that game was over at halftime. You could even argue that game was over at the end of the first quarter when Dallas is up 35-19. I know basketball is a game of runs, but with how flat the Timberwolves were and what Dallas did with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving going off, that's why even when Minnesota got one on the board, I said it's pretty obvious why Minnesota was able to get one on the board. It's because Kyrie Irving didn't play well. He had 16 points in Game 4. And you knew eventually that there would be one game with opportunities potentially in Game 5, 6, or 7, and only needed one more opportunity where Luka and Kyrie were both going to be clicking on all cylinders. And that was last night with them both finding a way to get 36 points as Dallas is off to the NBA Finals. Here's my biggest point, though, on Dallas getting to the NBA Finals, and I'll just say it right out of the gate. The Dallas Mavericks displayed, even when you have elite talent in Kyrie Irving. Like, let's just isolate Kyrie Irving. He is an elite talent. He is a stud when he's locked in. But for a bunch of years, Kyrie Irving has been a malcontent. And I could see why many teams around the league, after the disaster in Boston and the disaster in Brooklyn, wanted nothing to do with Kyrie Irving. But the Dallas Mavericks did something that was smart. You gamble on talent. You always gamble on talent. It was a high risk, but there is also a high reward in acquiring a player like Kyrie Irving if, in fact, he is focused on basketball and he's locked in on basketball. Because in Boston, he wasn't locked in on basketball. In Brooklyn, he acted like a jackass. He was not locked in on basketball. And you would have been a damn fool to expect Kyrie Irving to go to Dallas and give it his all and be the Kyrie Irving that he was earlier in his career that a lot of us fell in love with when he was a part of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Because why would I trust someone to change when the last few years Kyrie's actions were disgusting and they were inexcusable? So I'm not going to sit here today and tell you, oh, I expected this Kyrie Irving run to happen, because that would be disingenuous. And I think there will be people that will say today, oh, many owe Kyrie Irving an apology. Why do they owe Kyrie Irving an apology? Why would people believe in Kyrie Irving when he was the reason it didn't work out in Boston? And then when he got to Brooklyn, he did anti-Semitic things, which were highly offensive, and he always created distractions. Let's just call it what it is. Kyrie, for a 3, 4, 5-year period, he was the reason why we weren't seeing the old Kyrie Irving. Now, I guess you could say to his credit, he made the focus basketball again. And I think a big reason because of that is the great admiration and respect that he has for Jason Kidd. And that's such an underrated part of this story. Jason Kidd deserves a lot of credit, and the most credit, for Kyrie Irving getting back to form. Because Kyrie can be arrogant, Kyrie can be selfish, and Kyrie could be his worst own enemy. And when you're in a position of success that Kyrie has been in, you sometimes allow yourself to operate in this belief that you've done nothing wrong. And you start to point the finger that it's always somebody else's fault and everyone's out to get you, and you don't show accountability. But you have to remember, Kyrie Irving grew up in New Jersey. Kyrie Irving grew up as a Nets fan. And Kyrie Irving, his favorite player growing up was Jason Kidd. So I think Kyrie thought to himself, after last year getting dealt there, and at the end of the season, it looked like it wasn't going to work out. Remember, they missed the playoffs outright. Kyrie wasn't even playing. They were tanking to try to get themselves in the lottery and maybe get a better draft pick. It seemed like that wasn't going to work. And then this year, in the last few months, you started to see the chemistry develop between Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. They made the right moves at the deadline, and now this team is representing the Western Conference in the NBA Finals, and they are 4 wins away from winning an NBA championship. And sometimes you get to the NBA Finals and you go, oh, you don't really have a chance. I think the Celtics are the better team. I think the Celtics should win the NBA Finals, but it doesn't mean they will. Like, it's not inconceivable to me to say that Dallas is going to win the championship because they have the better dynamic duo. And the NBA now is a league of dynamic duos. And even though Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown has been a very good dynamic duo, Luka Doncic is the best player remaining in the postseason, and Kyrie Irving is a top 10 player in the sport when he's locked in. So there's many reasons why this has worked in a small sample size. Jason Kidd is an enormous one of them. But you have to give credit to the Mavericks organization because this is what was on the line. And they took a gamble. And you take gambles on elite talent. Even when you've been showed year in and year out for a 5-year run that the elite talent, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze because he was acting like a fool over and over again. But the reason you take that risk is if it can come together. And this has come together in Dallas in a short amount of time. And I don't know when the expiration date is. I'm not going to sit here like a blind dope and tell you that Kyrie Irving's going to finish his career in Dallas and he's going to go play for another 5-6 years in Dallas. I'm not going to say that. But they're taking advantage of the opportunity now. And now they're 4 wins away. But they gambled on Kyrie, and what was at risk was Kyrie repeating his actions and his poor, inexcusable actions that occurred in Boston and in Brooklyn. And if that version of Kyrie popped back up in Dallas, you run the risk of Luka Doncic, the best player on the team and the face of your franchise right now, in a league where a lot of people, when things don't go their way, bolt to another team. That's the risk that you were running. That Luka would look there and say, we had Jalen Brunson, even when Brunson wasn't a star, but they didn't offer him enough money early on in that contract when he was looking to stay. Brunson has gone on to stardom. Then your next guy to try to have as the running mate to Luka Doncic is Kyrie Irving. And if Kyrie didn't give us this version of Kyrie, there was a legitimate chance, whether you want to admit it or not, if you're a Mavericks fan, that Luka Doncic would have said, my career is getting wasted here in Dallas. Because Luka Doncic is a top 5 player in the sport. Luka Doncic has the look and the feel of a championship player. But rarely in this league do you get a championship with only having 1 star. In recent memory, Kawhi Leonard with the Raptors, 1 star. But in a bunch of different years, it's multiple stars. You know, Giannis Antetokounmpo, even though a lot of people don't consider Chris Middleton a star, he played like a star. And he's been a multiple-time All-Star. We know the Warriors had countless amounts of stars. The Heat, the Cavs, wherever LeBron was, countless stars. You need not just a star, but stars to win in this league. And right now, there's no super team. And there's a reason why I said it, going into the playoffs, and I'll continue to say it. Well, it was actually once when Denver got eliminated because of just where the chemistry was with Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. But pound for pound, it's tough to find a better duo when everyone's in the NBA than Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. So Dallas is taking advantage of the opportunity now. And it's because Kyrie is present in the way that he was present for most of his time with LeBron James in Cleveland. And this NBA Finals, it's going to be a good one. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be one of those series where it's over in 4 or 5 games. This is going 6 games bare minimum. And right now, I give probably a 58% edge. That's how close this is, a 58% edge to the Boston Celtics. But think about what the story is going to continue to be. You look at the NBA Finals. Sure, you got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown going for that ring. Boston trying to get banner 18. Luka Doncic, will he become the face of the sport if he gets a championship this year? And how important a championship would be to his career. But I don't think there's a story that is bigger going into the NBA Finals than Kyrie Irving of the Mavericks getting to the Finals and now going up against the team where he didn't treat them correctly and he thinks he's somehow a victim in this. But Kyrie going to Boston started the derailment and the 4 or 5 year derailment of his career. Because Kyrie went from Boston, where, okay, he wasn't happy, wanted to get away from LeBron, and he wanted to be the guy. Then he realized it wasn't working out in Boston. He wasn't happy. So then he goes to Brooklyn, gets everything he wants, and it still wasn't good enough. And he had actions that were just flat out ridiculous and absurd with things that he were doing that were extremely hurtful. But now he's regrouped. Now he's back in on basketball. And you are reminded of the player that Kyrie Irving can be. But that story, it feels like this NBA Finals, even though Luka Doncic is the biggest player in this series, it feels like this Finals is going to be marketed as Kyrie up against the Celtics. That's the way that I feel it is. But even though at times when Dallas made the move for Kyrie, I thought they were crazy because how could you trust that he could change? It shows you how important it is, even when someone acts horribly in sports, because if you won't, someone else will. It's just the reality of the situation that you gamble on talent. Because if you have that rare chance where that talent goes down a different road and gets back to where they were, these are the results. Being 4 wins away from hoisting another Larry O'Brien trophy. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a timeout. What do you think is the biggest story of the NBA Finals, and what's your feel on the entire Kyrie Irving situation? When we return, I think a rant is brewing. I really don't know how much longer I could hold this off because I feel like I'm playing hurt today. I'm trying to give you the basketball takes, but my mind is in a different direction. We will tell you why next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Infinity Sports Network, 21 past the hour. Zach Gelb Show. I like to thank our colleague, Tiki Barber. Tiki Barber. Everyone needs a good pick-me-up around here today. He brought in a big charcuterie platter. So we had all different types of cheeses and pepperoni and crackers and all that jazz before the start of the show, which was much needed. Because I ain't gonna lie to you guys. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. I'm annoyed to be here today. It has nothing to do with Stu. It has nothing to do with Samter. It has nothing to do with me disliking anybody at this company. Like, I love what I do. I love the people I work with. But I'm annoyed today because of my hockey team. I went to the game last night with Mraz, who worked here for many years. Now he works down the hall. We had a very good time. Fun time. We stopped off before the game. We got a few drinks. We had a luxury suite. We went in, had some more drinks, some more food, great group of people, and I thought this was going to be somewhat of an enjoyable night. Obviously, you can't control the outcome of the game. The Rangers get the first goal, shorthanded, Chris Kreider, and where we were behind the net in the luxury box, it came right to us. That goal, there's alcohol flying everywhere, like Stanley Cup playoff hockey. When a goal's scored, you have a drink in your hand, everyone's throwing alcohol up into the air. I actually felt bad for the person sitting in front of us because Mraz had a full glass of Tito's. Kreider scores, throws it up in the air, and the Tito's goes right on the seat in front of us. But, you needed to bring a poncho because the entire stadium just had alcohol flowing everywhere, and you're holding it in your hand, and the team scores, and you go nuts. But after that, the Rangers allowed a goal. It's 1-1. Then going into the third, Florida strikes. They make it 2-1. Rangers pull the goalie with 2.5 minutes left. Panthers get the goal, and they are down 3-1. They end up losing the game 3-2. But here's why I'm upset today. The series isn't over. The Rangers have been thoroughly outplayed. They're down 3-2. But once they go down 3-2, I log on social media, and I'm seeing all this stupid commentary from everybody. And people keep on bringing up 1994. 1994 was 30 damn years ago. I know it's the greatest moment in franchise history. I don't care about 1994 anymore. I don't. I wasn't even alive. I was in my mother's tummy when Marc Messier had the guarantee, and then Stephane Matteau won it in Game 7 in the double overtime. And then they had one more hill to climb, baby, and that's Mount Vancouver. And the Rangers beat the Canucks. It's 30 damn years ago. A lot has happened since 1994. So don't just tell me because in 1994 the Rangers were down 3-2 and they won 6 and 7, it's going to happen again this year. Because that's a bunch of bull crap if that's your analyst. That's your analysis. Think about it. In 2012 against the Devils, they were down 3-2. They lost Game 6. In 2015 against the Lightning, we're down 3-2. They won Game 6. I was at Game 7. They didn't show up outside of Lundqvist. They got shut out of the game. And then in 2022, after being up 2-0, they lose 3 straight. They're down 3-2. This dope goes down to Tampa, and they lost the game. That's 3 damn times they've been in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they've been down 3-2, and they didn't advance. So stop telling me about 1994. It's 30 damn years ago. This is what needs to happen on Saturday night. They need to go to war for Igor Shesterkin because 31's getting the same damn treatment as 30 did in Henrik Lundqvist. He shows up, but the rest of the team doesn't. The only way this team will win this series is if the forwards for the Rangers and the defensemen look at their goaltender and they say, we've sucked so far. It's time for our cojones to drop and we need to go to war for this guy. And if they don't go to war for Igor Shesterkin in Game 6, then the season's over. Win Game 6. Force a Game 7. Make me spend a ridiculous amount of money on Monday night to get my fat ass in the building. That's the bottom line. But if I have to hear about 1994 one more GD time, you think I'm blowing a gasket now? I won't even be able to make it to this microphone because my head will literally explode. Ugh, enough with 1994.
Let me tell you about 94, though, actually.
Shut up!
So Marc Messier and the Rangers were down 3-2 to the Devils.
Do me a favor. Go get Richard Ackerman right now. We are going to the update early. I know Ack will be frantic and he'll be all annoyed because he has to scurry on in here and do the update. Get Ack in here. I'm not in a joking mood today. I'm sick of hearing about 1994, and I'm sick and tired. Each and every year, the Rangers have an elite goaltender, the best goaltender in the league, and they always screw him come playoff time. Igor Shesterkin has been standing on his head. And you only get one. I know they had Lafreniere scored late. That was garbage time. You get one lousy goal at home? One? Give me a damn break. Where's Zach? Where is he? Where's Rich Ackerman? I'm not kidding around.
He's coming. He's coming.
He needs to run faster. I'm not even talking about anything else in this segment. I said what I had to say. I said my piece. We'll get to Ack, and then we'll come on back and we'll do the rest of the show. But 1994, Ack will come in here and be like, hey, Chief, 1994, this team did this, and this. Like, enough. If Ack doesn't get in there in a minute, we'll find another update anchor. Seriously, that's where I'm at today. Let's go. Get him in here. I'm going to break as early as possible today. I said my piece. I erupted. I gave you the Gelb volcanic eruption, and I'm just sick and tired of it. Because 1994 this, 1994 that, it's crazy. It's stupid. And trust me, I've been the dope that have tweeted that one time. It was back in 2012, though. It didn't work. Stop telling me about 1994.
So do you remember Valerie Zelapukin? Forward for the Devils with 7 seconds left in Game 7. He tied the game in the third period. Sends the game into overtime.
Samter, I need you to do your job. Go get Ack.
I got Ack twice.
No, go get him now. This is ridiculous. Every day this guy complains how late I get to the update. I want to get to the update early. It's 3:29. He's nowhere to be found. I need Ack in here. Get him in here. Well, what is he doing? Making a sandwich or something like that? Come on. Sorry, Ack, to put you in this spot, but I went nuts about the Rangers, and we just got to get to you. I got to get off the air.
Keep going nuts. Come on.
No.
Get it out. It's good. It's healthy.
No. Well, can I ask you a serious question?
All right, sure.
Please tell me you're not one of these dopes. And I know 1994 is probably the best sports moment of your life, correct?
It's right there. It's in the top 2.
Okay. You're not one of these people saying, well, in 1994 they came back from down. Okay, thanks.
That's
30 years ago.
30 years ago, different team, different game, different time. Doesn't mean anything. Does not mean anything.
Well,
I think any coach will tell you. I mean, the best is Tom Thibodeau at this or Bill Belichick. It's in the moment. Nobody cares. The players don't think that way. There's nothing to it. You want to believe that? That's fine.
Good.
But there's nothing to it.
Because that's the root of my frustration.
Yes.
It's just so stupid. Here he is. We'll see if he gets the update. And I think we rushed him a little bit.
No, your frustration with the Rangers has carried over to my frustration with our wonderful printers here.
Oh, the printers aren't working?
Yeah, no, they're not
working.
working.
You know what? I could let some rage out today.
Yeah,
give me a baseball bat. I'll go smack the freaking printer.
Like Office Space. I almost just did that. Yes.
Okay.
Because you press print, you go to the printer, and it's not there. And you're like, what happened? And there's then you press print again, and it says out of paper. So I go, okay, let me go to the next one. Yeah. And then I do print that one, and nothing comes out. So now I got to walk back again, hit it, print again, and it doesn't print.
It's a disaster.
Yes.
It's like the Rangers offense. It's like the Rangers 5-on-5 play right now.
Exactly. See, we both have, so we have a commonality right here.
Now, all I will say is because, I know I just went nuts for about 8 minutes on the Rangers. I got to give credit to the Panthers. There's a
very good team. They were in the Stanley Cup Finals last year.
I said going into the playoffs, I thought they were the best team in hockey. I really did.
Yeah, well, they're showing it right now.
But how much they dominate the puck, and that one point last night, I looked up. The Rangers actually had a pulse. It was 17-12 in shots, and then you blink, and the next thing you know, it's like 30-18.
Yeah.
How long they control the puck, and the Rangers can't get a shot, it is a disgrace.
Well, the one thing, and this is being as a Ranger fan, that worried me and coming into the series and that has become reality is Florida puts a body on you all the time, whether it's warranted or not. And you see Florida try to clear the zone, and the Rangers come close, and as soon as the puck's off the stick, they skate away. And that's all well and good, but you feel the Panthers on every play. And in some cases, like Barclay Goodrow taking a penalty in Game 4 because he flipped it over the glass accidentally.
It was rush, yeah.
Yeah, that was, and I mean, part of it was, the ice wasn't great, so the puck jumped a little, but, here comes Dmitry Kulikov, and you got to get rid of that puck, and that's what he did. So, I said my piece.
All right. Actually, I think you calmed me down a little bit. So
There you go. It's all, in with the good air, out with the bad. In with the good air, out with the bad.
I may need you to be my therapist on Saturday.
Yeah, well, that's, I don't know if I can, do as I say, not as I do.
Here he is, the Ackman, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, there's more hockey tonight. Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals. The Stars host the Oilers with that series even at 2. The last 2 games have been wild, with the Stars rallying in Game 3, scoring 3 times in the second after falling behind 2-0. Edmonton turned the tables in Game 4 with 5 unanswered goals after spotting Dallas a 2-0 lead. The Stars' Mason Marchment said after the loss they'll be able to brush back the defeat on Wednesday.
It's part of being a pro. You got to get a good night's sleep and prepare your best you can. So, I think we're going to regroup after last night and come back strong tomorrow.
Defenseman Chris Tanev will be a game-time decision. Baseball this afternoon, Friday afternoon action at Wrigley Field. The Cubs and Reds are even at 2 in the top of the 5th. Ian Happ got the scoring started with a 2-run homer to center field. The Phillies look to add to their best start in the major leagues. They'll send 6-2 Aaron Nola to the mound tonight when they go for their 40th win of the season against the Cardinals. The Yankees at 39-19 after back-to-back wins over the Angels continue their road trip in San Francisco. And the Bills have come to terms with former Olympic gold medal wrestler Gable Steveson on a contract. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, like us on Facebook. Our handle is INF Sportsnet. That's INF Sportsnet for our Facebook page. This is the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
I'm finally in a good mood. Well done, Stu. You play a little DMX, party up. This is my bar mitzvah entrance song. They had to play the clean version of this, though, because there's like a curse every 4th second in this song. Does that even make sense? Every 4 seconds?
There's a clean version of this song?
Yeah. They had to make it like a radio version. So, yeah. Every 4 seconds. There's a curse every other 4 seconds is I think what I meant. But I thought that was very therapeutic last segment. Just being able to yell. And I walked out into the break, the newsroom during the break. And there was someone that was sitting there. And they were like, I've never seen Ack move that quickly. Because I guess Samter went into the newsroom and was like, Ack, we need you to do the update. Zach's freaking out on the air. He wants to go to break. And there was a printer problem here, of course.
I'll say this. Ack was trying. I saw him moving and shaking.
Hustling.
And he kept going back and forth. And every time he went back, he was getting more and more frustrated.
You would not think Ack would be a fourth liner in hockey by the stereotypical definition of a fourth liner, but that was Ack's fourth line moment. You knew it wasn't probably going to lead to a goal, but he did the gritty work. He did the toughness, and he tried his damnness to get into the studio here in an efficient amount of time. Anyway, it's time to Ask the Pros, where you, the listener, gets to ask us a question. It's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Be listening later in the show when we might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Let's get to the Cowboys. So Micah Parsons has not showed up for voluntary OTAs. Let me emphasize the word voluntary, because the way it gets reported now is Micah Parsons is not at OTAs, and people freak out and they go, man, Micah Parsons, with how much smack that he talks, and the Cowboys coming off another season where they were good in the regular season, but then that defense looked like Swiss cheese up against the Green Bay Packers, and they got dominated, and people go, oh, it's a bad look for Micah Parsons to not be at OTAs. Or, oh, how committed is Micah Parsons to the Dallas Cowboys? I know that there's a report that they're maybe trying to get rid of OTAs and it would just be a longer training camp. The way the CBA is designed, and this is agreed upon, it's almost unfair to the players. And the reason why I say that is, for most people, not all, but most, because we do have some strange birds out there, If work came to you and said, you don't have to show up today, this is a voluntary day or a voluntary week to work, most of us aren't showing up. Like if Ryan Hurley, our great new boss, who I love, if he came up to me and he said, hey, Zach, if you don't want to show up this week for work, you don't have to, I probably wouldn't show up. Stu, I would imagine that's the same thing for you. If the boss has said, you still get paid, you don't got to show up to work, you're probably not showing up, and you're probably going to do something with your girlfriend and have fun, right?
Absolutely. Sounds fun.
Samter, after basically being out for 3 weeks, I don't even think I have to ask you this question.
I disagree 100%.
You would be here, hard hat on?
I'm here.
Yeah, please. Samter, we all know that if work said to you, you don't got to show up, you ain't showing up.
Hey, between having car troubles, moving, and having COVID, missing time was more than apt. I am a worker. I'm a worker bee. I'm here every second of every day.
You got it. I don't think the listening audience could hear this, but I'm going to say it anyway because my headphones are like jacked up. When your microphone popped up there, when the microphone moves, I thought Stu was playing like a small violin for a second when you were going through all the troubles that did occur. Like it was right on cue, you know, the car, the tree, and then I heard the microphone pop up and it made that little like squeaking noise. And I go, is Stu playing a small violin? Because if so, that would have been hilarious. But that's like the problem now with the way that I think things get reported. Things just get reported in a vague way for a tweet. And that's why we're very fortunate to have the platform that we do, where it's 3 hours every day, Monday through Friday, and I could sit here and explain something for 15 minutes, right? A segment if I wanted to. But now things just get thrown out there on X, on Instagram. Do people still use Threads, Samter? I've never been on Threads. Is Threads still a thing? Just wondering.
I mean, it is. I got really into it for the first two.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, for the first like month and a half, I was really into it because I really thought that Twitter was going down. So I got really into Threads, but it never took off. They launched it too early. There wasn't enough stuff. So I don't think there's a lot of people.
And by the
Threads.
way, just to be clear, because the views of Michael Samter don't reflect the views always of the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We are big fans of the X platform, especially with Jim's new partnership and how successful that has been and all the great viewership that has been thrown there because of what Jim's doing on X. I love X. But with that being said, there was a thought process once that X was going to go away and Threads was going to become this big thing.
Listen, I love X. I'm not saying anything negative against X. I just thought that X was on the way out and Threads was on the way up. So I kind of jumped on the bandwagon right when they launched, and it just did not take off.
You didn't love X, though, when they banned you that one time.
No, I thought that was hilarious. It was like great on-air
You
fire.
threatened me. You threatened me over lasagna. It was it was low class. You're lucky you didn't go to HR.
I didn't fully threaten you. I had birds threaten you.
Oh, yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I said that you would get pecked by chickens.
So the thing is, though, what I'm saying is on social media now, things get condensed into a tweet or one post, and there's not a lot of context. It's what can you do to provide the juiciest headline so you get the most clicks, you get the most retweets, and you get the most views. And if that's how you want to operate and that's how you get success, all right, everyone's got to make a living. Don't get me wrong. We are in a viewership business. We are in a listenership business. We are in a results business. But I'm not, like, I put things out there that I expect to do well on social media. We have a good track record of them doing well. But I always think the stuff I'm putting out is fair. And for people to just say, oh, Micah Parsons isn't showing up to OTAs and that means he's not committed to the Cowboys, I don't think that's fair. Because most of us know that OTAs are voluntary. But when you don't write voluntary OTAs, I just think it's a little misleading and people make this out to be a bigger deal than what it actually is. And that's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is simply this. If you are attacking Micah Parsons today, and I know that we separate athletes from the everyday man, but I won't separate it here. And I'll just ask yourself this. If your boss said you don't have to show up to work, would you? Because I know I'm not. Even though I love this job and we're very fortunate to do what we get to do, especially in the summer when the weather's nice here in New York and I go down to the shore early, like if they tell me, hey, on a Friday, you don't have to show up to work, it's a voluntary day, you bet your ass I'm not showing up. So that's my only thing with the Micah Parsons whole situation. Now, we have audio from Mike McCarthy. This is at a press conference. This is Mike McCarthy discussing Micah Parsons not being at voluntary OTAs. Listen up.
I think anytime you have a chance to to be together, it's an opportunity to improve, whether it's in the mental realm, the physical realm, which is limited obviously this time of year, but in the emotional connection and so forth. So it's a long year. Training camp is really the heightened focus for all that. But yeah, it's definitely an opportunity that's been missed.
So you hear that. And I saw that Clarence Hill, who covers the Cowboys, he put out yesterday, and this is when it really started to go viral. And then you waited to hear the audio from McCarthy. It seems like Mike McCarthy is not pleased that Micah Parsons isn't here. Samter, you've been doing this for a long time. You could usually decipher what's coaches speak and what's reality and what gets said and if there's true meaning behind it. Do you think that Mike McCarthy, when he says it's an opportunity missed, is actually disappointed that Micah Parsons is not showing up for voluntary OTAs?
I think if you were to ask any coach in the NFL, they want every player at every practice.
Agreed.
So do I think that he's disappointed that Micah's not there? Sure. But I also think that he's not furious about it. He understands what the system is. He also knows legally by the CBA he's not allowed to chastise anybody for missing it.
Well, that was pretty close.
That's right on the borderline. If he got fined, I wouldn't be surprised.
You're
either,
tiptoeing the line. All right, I'm not going to lie. If I'm the NFLPA, I'm filing a grievance. Because at the end of that line by Mike McCarthy, he's like, what did he basically say? You want everyone here? And it's a missed opportunity?
It's an opportunity missed.
Mm-hmm. And I've had those situations before. Like when I was day by day around the Eagles, and I've voiced this opinion before on the air, I think these OTAs are the most monotonous, pointless things to attend. Everyone tries to get a take or an opinion, and it's just grown men running around in shorts and a T-shirt. That's what it is. They are so boring. You'll have those writers that'll be like, I'm charting what this player does and how many catches this guy does. It's practice. All right? I don't want to sound like AI, but we're talking about practice here. The expectation in practice is to try things to get better. And when you try to do that, there's going to be some good moments, and there's also going to be a lot of failure. Practice makes you better, in essence. So when I was in Philly, there was a lot of times where people would talk about, and usually when it's juicy is like where it is here, where there's a contract situation, because then you're thinking Micah Parsons, if he was taken care of and the long-term deal was done, he probably shows up even though they're voluntary, and people try to put two and two together. He's sending a point to the organization. You're not taking care of me yet. I'm not going to go above and beyond and show up to something that I don't need to, which is fair. But that's when these things usually get juicy. And whenever that was the case in Philadelphia, Doug Peterson would always say, hey, you would hope everyone would be here, but at the end of the day, it is voluntary, and those are the rules. So I can't get mad if someone is not here because they're voluntary practices right now. But I thought that was getting very close to dragging your toe over the line into the danger category for Mike McCarthy. Also, since we're talking about the Cowboys, it got me thinking about this. I'm going to go around the room here. Person in the Cowboys organization. Don't give me like a detailed response. I just want the name. Person in the Cowboys organization right now, whether it's Jerry Jones, Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, and pressure's a very ambiguous term, but who is the person in the organization that you think is under the most pressure for this season? I'll start with Stu.
I think it is McCarthy because I think if they don't have a deep playoff run, he will be fired. So he has 1 year to basically prove it.
As he's on the last year of his contract,
yes.
So he's
so he'll be let go. He won't be fired, but won't be renewed.
Similar to like what happened with Jason Garrett. Quack, quack. All righty, Samter, who is the person in the organization?
Dak.
Yeah, I can't say you're wrong on that. And I can't say Stu is wrong either. And I think most people would think it's either the quarterback or the head coach. I actually think it's Micah Parsons. And the reason why I think it's Micah Parsons is there's no doubt in my mind the Cowboys are going to pay him. And, hey, we benefited from this. 5 million views, Micah Parsons getting on this show and saying some of the dumbest things I've ever heard, that T.J. Watt wasn't a top 5 pure pass rusher in the NFL. But Micah Parsons, as great as he is, and he's a great football player, with the podcast that he has, it's very Draymond Green-like, and he's a better player in his sport than Draymond is in Draymond's sport. But he's always, I'm not saying he can't give an opinion, because that would be fraudulent of me. But there's a lot now where Micah Parsons is saying things that don't really make sense, where people will take the low-hanging fruit and they'll say, well, is he really all in on the Dallas Cowboys? Whether you agree with that or not, I'm just telling you, with covering this how long as I have, that's just what people are going to start to say, and they've already said it. And Micah Parsons now, right, there's a level of greatness that you expect, and I've already seen Dak Prescott kind of max out where I know he's just good and he'll never win a Super Bowl. You know, Mike McCarthy, I think he's restored his image a little bit since becoming the coach of the Cowboys, where I know he hasn't had the postseason success, but he's already won a Super Bowl in Green Bay. And the last 3 years, it's 12 wins, 12 wins, and 12 wins. But for Micah, he is the one, Micah Parsons, that since he's younger in the league and he's catapulted himself to stardom, now my attention goes to him. Okay, can you be that true difference maker on the defense that only individually performs well, but you galvanize the rest of the group to do something the Cowboys haven't done in a long time, and that's get to an NFC title game. I'm not even going to talk about a Super Bowl, but they haven't been to an NFC title game since the 1995 season. All righty, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will take a break. The Timberwolves, after they beat the Nuggets, many people thought they were going to win the championship. Now they're done in 5 games in the Western Conference Finals. Do you look back at their season as a success, or was it a disappointment?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, away we go. Hour number 2 of our radio program. That's right. It is the Infinity Sports Network. I guess the Kansas City Chiefs are at the White House today. We'll get you some of this audio later when we talk about the Chiefs special teams coordinator on potentially using Justin Reed to kick off instead of Harrison Butker. Justin Reed did talk about this today at the White House. Also, Rashee Rice is making the trip to the White House today after what's been a very eventful offseason, to say the least, for Rashee Rice, where isn't he facing like 8 felony charges or something like that, with all that has transpired with Rashee Rice over this offseason. So we'll get some of that audio coming up later. So Minnesota, I think it's a difficult time to discuss them because I can't say their season was a disappointment because it definitely was successful, but I do leave with what we saw in the Western Conference Finals with a taste of disappointment. And that's one thing in sports. Something that makes me cringe is when a team early on in the playoffs gets called a team of destiny. Or people think once you get this win, it means you're going to win the rest. You know, it's why Herb Brooks, after, the late, great Herb Brooks, 1980 coach, all that, winning medal coach for USA Hockey, after they beat the Soviets, like everyone remembers that. But they did go on to have to win one more game against Finland. And he said to his team, you better win this one because if you don't, you'll take it to your graves. But everyone remembers the Soviet victory. Like there's moments and runs that may not be the gold medal or may not be the championship win, but those moments get remembered more than the actual championship. Like, for example, in my lifetime, you look at all the Patriots Super Bowl runs. The last one that they had, the second time up against the Rams, that actual Super Bowl was not a memorable Super Bowl. It was low scoring. It was 13-3 was the final score, which actually ended up being the largest margin of victory for the Patriots in their 6 Super Bowl championships, which is crazy. But most fans remember that Super Bowl run where it starts in the AFC Championship game with the epic back-and-forth overtime thriller between Mahomes and Tom Brady. So there are moments where you win a title and it's not the most memorable moment. But for Minnesota, they start off the postseason. They quickly sweep the Phoenix Suns. And then they started to get a wild amount and a fair amount of respect and praise and an assumption that they were going to be in the NBA championship even before, like, forget about winning the Western Conference, which they didn't do, but even before they took care of business against the Denver Nuggets. Like, when they walked into Denver and made Jamal Murray so mad that he threw a heating pad and a towel on the court, when that was 2-0 in favor of Minnesota, when they walked into Denver and beat them up on Denver's home court, the defending champ, most of us thought that series was over. And then, boom, Denver wins 3 straight. They take a commanding 3-2 lead. And we went from, oh, it was all premature, our praise to Minnesota, to now everyone then was on the line of thinking that Denver was going to win that series. And you know what happened? Denver didn't show up in Game 6, and then Minnesota walked into their building and destroyed them in that second half of Game 7. So once that happened, and once they advanced to the next round, like, we all knew Dallas had the best 1-2 punch in the league with a locked-in Kyrie Irving and a top 5 player in the league in Luka Doncic. But the takes from where we were at 2-0 started to pop back up. And I'm guilty of this. Like, I'm not going to just say that other people were saying it. Like, I was someone that was saying this. Where it was like, okay, Denver was the best team. Minnesota beats Denver. Anthony Edwards is the future face of the league. And not only that, they're going to most likely be in the championship and be the favorite to win the championship. But then they lose this series to Dallas. And not only did they lose this series to Dallas, they were down 3-0. And then they win Game 4, and then they no-showed last night in Game 5. So I'll ask this question around the room because I'm struggling to put it into words. How do we look back at the Minnesota Timberwolves season? Because the way I feel about them is, yes, you say it's, if it was pass-fail, in terms, like, everyone's taking a pass-fail class in college, where it doesn't matter if you get an A or a B, whatever, just as long as you pass the class, you're with everybody else. And if you're not at a certain threshold, then you fail. So this is a past season in a successful way for the Minnesota Timberwolves. But I walk away feeling what could have been. And I don't think today is the day, if you are a Timberwolves fan, that you go, oh, let's applaud the effort of this squad. It's a bright future, and there's many more great years to come. Because you missed an opportunity. You had an opportunity where you beat the champs, and then I don't know if they just exhaled. I don't know if they were hung over from, like in the sports term, from the euphoria of that win, and maybe they were reading and listening to everything that was positive that was said about them, and they let their guard down. But that's kind of crazy to me, even with how good Dallas is, that this series was over and it was finished in 5 games. And quite frankly, it was over when it was 3-0. Once that gets to 3-0, no team in NBA history has ever come back from down 3-0 to win the series. So I'm curious, and I'll ask Stu and Sam to this, how should we feel about Minnesota? Because it does feel like it was a successful season, and it feels like there's a bright future. But today, I am disappointed because you beat Denver. And then, if they would have lost in the NBA Finals in the 6 or 7 game series, I think the conversation's different. But the fact you didn't get to the NBA Finals, or check that, the fact that you could even make this a competitive Western Conference Finals, it's tough for me to praise right now today Minnesota, even though probably the entirety of their season is more successful than it being a failure.
To me, it's 100% a success. I mean, I understand they kind of fell flat in this series, but they're a really, really young team with some really, really young rising stars. Mm-hmm. They're going to be really good for a really long time as long as they can keep these players around.
Will they be great?
Yeah. Like, I legitimately think that this could be a great team that can win not just one, but maybe even two or multiple championships. This is if they can keep this core together, and if Cat can show up consistently, that's the problem.
Big question.
Cat's one of those guys who he's either
he's
first
like
team
AD.
All NBA or he's disappeared. There's nothing in between. He's either great or he's terrible.
He's really like Anthony Davis. Like Anthony Davis is a better player than
100%.
Karl Anthony Towns, but how we have discussed Anthony Davis with the Lakers the last few years, it seems similar to Karl Anthony Towns, where for Anthony Davis, hey, look, he showed up, they won a title, but in other years he's either hurt or he's not playing consistently to that elite level ability. And I can't go there with Minnesota that they're going to win multiple championships. You want to tell me, if you said right now, gun to your head, do they win one? I would say yes, because I believe in Anthony Edwards. I can't go to the realm yet of the possibilities that they're going to win multiple championships, especially in a sports city. That they're one of those sports cities, fair or not, it feels like they're cursed. Like, anytime the Vikings are really damn good and you start to believe, not only do they lose, but they have a miserable loss. And for Minnesota, the excitement with that franchise came back. People thought they were going to get to an NBA Finals after beating Denver, and they couldn't even go out with a admirable defeat. Like, you could lose, and people could understand, okay, something special is brewing. And something I think is special brewing here, but you never know if you're going to get back. Like, I look at my sports fandom, and I go back to the 2015 New York Mets. They had a pitching staff that was young, that was dominant. They unexpectedly found themselves in a World Series. And when the Mets lost that World Series to the Royals, in what was a crazy back-and-forth World Series that only resulted in 5 games, I remember leaving the stadium that night. And don't get me wrong, I was sad. But I said, you know what? I'm proud of this team. And I'm adamant that this team is going to be back. Right? When you had a pitching staff of Matt Harvey and Jacob deGrom and Noah Syndergaard. Like, you just thought that was going to be a group that eventually they'd make a return. They'd find a way. But then everyone got hurt, and the Mets were the Mets. And they never got back to that World Series. That group made one more playoff appearance. It was the following season where it was an epic wild card game. Syndergaard was sensational. The Mets are completely banged up. And it was Madison Bumgarner when he was playoff Bumgarner. And I was at that game. What was the guy's name? Was it Connor Gillespie? I think it was Gillespie. I almost called him Colin Gillespie, but I think that was the kid that was at Villanova. But that guy Gillespie hit a home run. I want to say it was Connor, Stu. Thank you. And after that, they were never able to recover. And look, Harvey is out of the league. Syndergaard, I think, is out of the league. Like, that team just imploded. So that's the thing, which I think as sports fans, because a lot of people, they look at sports fans as very negative. I do think we try, even when teams don't succeed, to try to find the positives to make us think that they're going to continue. And sometimes that's a detriment because I don't want to say you left your foot off the pedal, but you just assume you're going to be back because everyone was positive about you for a while, even though the ending was not positive. And for Minnesota's case, you have a player to believe in Anthony Edwards. He brings hope. But just because they were ahead of the curve this year doesn't mean that they're going to win a championship one day. And this year, you look at the 4 teams that were remaining at the time, like the Pacers, everyone knew they weren't winning. People don't trust Boston. We'll get into that later. And Dallas, they knew they had a great 1-2 punch in Luka and Kyrie, but no one would have ever thought that was going to be the Western Conference Finals when the postseason did start, that it was going to be Minnesota and Dallas. So it does seem like, yes, there's hope, there's future, but it is a little bit of a missed opportunity. It's a big missed opportunity. Because A, you don't know if you're going to get back, and B, you don't know if the road, I don't want to say it's easy, but from what appears to be as easy as maybe the one was this year, once you take care of the dragon and slay the dragon that was the Denver Nuggets. Stu, how do you look back? I know you're a big hoops guy. How do you look back at this Timberwolves run?
I hear what you're saying, but I am more on the side of Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Going into the season, they were maybe what? The 5th, 6th, 7th best team in the West.
Yeah, no one thought they'd be the 3rd best team.
Nobody thought they did.
Mm-hmm.
They beat the Suns, who many people thought were one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the West.
The Suns were frauds this year.
They were, but they beat the Nuggets.
You know who the Suns were? The Suns are, like, you go to a garage sale, and you see, like, a TV that's a little bit older, but it's at a great price, and you're like, oh, wow, that flat-screen TV would look great on my wall. And then you buy the flat-screen TV, you think it's going to bring you, like, a great viewing experience, and then you turn on the TV, and there's, like, 2 or 3 rings on it or something like that. And I may have that issue right now in my apartment.
Oh, no.
When I got my apartment, they donated a TV to me. The previous tenant left the TV in there. I guess he didn't want to take it off the wall because it was on, what are those things called?
Mount?
A mount. Thank you. I couldn't think of that word. It was on a mount, and I guess if he took the mount off the wall, he would have had to fix the wall. So he just said, hey, you can keep the TV. So I get the TV, and for whatever reason, it only was evident early on when you were watching hockey. I'm like, oh, there's some like white rings on the TV. I couldn't figure it out. But you'd only notice it when it was on hockey because the ice is white. And throughout the years, the rings have just grown and gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. So in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to take that TV off the mount, and I'm going to get a new TV. But that TV is like the Phoenix Suns. Like, I thought, oh, nice TV, looks great. Oh, it's it's free. I don't got to pay for it. It's wonderful. You put in Durant and Bradley Beal and Devin Booker on the same team, and then you realize that there was a problem. But anyways, sorry to bitch about my TV. Continue what you were saying.
No, I just think where they got this season is more than anyone expected. And I know expectations change throughout the season, so that is true. Yeah. But the fact they got as far as they did, and they're so young, and I think Anthony Edwards only has room to grow. I think he's going to develop into one of the 2 or 3 best players in the league, maybe even the best player in the league. So I think the fact they made this jump this early, I think it can only be viewed as a success. Now, maybe they never get this far again. You never know. And in that case, this is a missed opportunity, but I think it's definitely a success.
So here's how I'll look at it. I'll go back to the pass-fail analogy. They get a pass, but there's different sectors in the pass. Like, people know when you get the A+ in the pass-fail. People know when you get the A-, or you get a B, you get a B+, or if you just survive by the skin of your teeth, then you got like a C+. They're a team that they're a B+. That's the way that I look at them. The Minnesota Timberwolves this year are a B+. And they would have been an A if they got to the NBA Finals. And they didn't get to the NBA Finals. But this was a group that we thought after they beat Denver, they were going to be an A+. So some people, they take the season and you look back at it and you go, okay, I got a B+. I did the assignment. I passed the assignment. But there was a different level that they could have got to. All righty, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Come on back. We'll update you some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. We will get to a news brief next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Alrighty, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. News brief time. Let's get to Drew Brees. He revealed, this was to Evan Cohen, at some point this past year, that he, doesn't he have, not have, a range of motion in his shoulder or something? He can't throw a football anymore. So Drew Brees said if that didn't happen, he could have played a lot longer.
There was a little bit of a lack of closure, you know? And honestly, man, if my right arm was still working, I probably would have played another 3 years. My body feels great.
So that's the difficult part, because when I first hear Drew Brees say, oh, he could have played longer if it wasn't for this, I was like, well, at the end of your career, I don't care what the stats were. There were many times your team was there and you couldn't get the job done. And especially that last playoff game up against Tampa Bay, that was a bad performance. And even the playoff loss up against the Minnesota Vikings, too, in their own building, that was a bad performance. But how much did this injury, this right arm injury, play a factor into that performance? So could you have maybe played a few more years, and even if it wasn't the Saints, go to another team? I guess so. But there's a certain standard for Drew Brees. And, Drew Brees, he got out of the league in 2020. Drew Brees right now is 45 years old. So he got away right when he was 40. Yeah, I don't think Drew Brees had that much longer left in the tank. Even if he didn't have this injury, I don't think it's realistic to expect quarterbacks to play into their 40s now just because Brady did it. Let's go to Albert Breer. Here were his comments about Drake May. This was on NBC Sports Boston.
I've heard it's going great. They say the progress has been incremental. Now, that doesn't mean he's making these huge leaps, but day over day, they're seeing really good progress. You see the arm talent. I mean, what they found since they got him in the building is he has almost no footwork training. So what he was doing in college was without having much training at all when it comes to tying his feet, to how he throws, the play call. So they've been working through that. He hasn't done a lot under center. So a lot of his work has been under center and trying to get him to learn to do that. But, when he ties it all together, you see the talent. And what they're seeing is elite downfield accuracy. So you see that, where you can throw it to the third level at a really high level. You're seeing an ability to go through progressions, and then there's not panic. And I think that's another thing that can help him get on the field. So again, doesn't mean he's ready to start, but what they're seeing is a kid who is learning and who is applying what he's learning onto the field, which is the first step towards becoming a better quarterback.
So a lot of times in sports, there's what should happen and what will happen. And I've been very clear that because the Patriots don't have a number one wide receiver and their offensive line is very questionable entering this season, I don't think Drake May should see the field in the first half of the season. But Stu, the more and more you already start to hear and read things from OTAs, and you hear those comments by Albert Breer, don't you kind of think that he will see the field earlier than what we both kind of expect?
I do. I'd be surprised if we don't see him very early in the season.
Very early?
Yeah.
What do you mean by very early?
Oh, first...
Before week 6?
Yeah, first quarter of the season. Yeah.
So their schedule has to play an impact on this, right? Because, it shouldn't be, but I think it does. They got kind of a tough schedule out of the gate. They're at Cincinnati to open up the season. Then they play Seattle. Then they're at the Jets. Then they're at San Francisco. They have Miami. They have Houston. They have Jacksonville. They have the Jets. And that takes you through October. There's no game, and I know the Patriots suck right now, so there's really no easy game. But there's no easy game on that schedule. Then you get in a back-to-back run where it's at Tennessee and at Chicago. And I think Chicago's going to be pretty damn good. And Tennessee has talent, but they'll still probably be the 4th team in that division. I don't know how long they're going to be able to hold off the call for Drake May, especially if this team, through the first 4 weeks of the season, if you're being the most optimistic person in the world, 1-3? Stu, can you give me an argument? It's even tougher. I'm expecting them to be 0-4 out of the gate. I expect them to lose to Cincinnati, lose to Seattle, lose to the Jets, and lose to San Francisco. So if you want to be optimistic about it, wouldn't it be 1-3? And is 1-3 going to make people go, oh, yeah, Jacoby Brissett's doing a fine job. I don't need to see Drake May?
Yeah, Seahawks at home in that early window, that 1 o'clock Eastern time window. So maybe that's the one you get. I don't know, though. You're right. Bengals, Jets, Niners. Those are 3 of the,
tough
7 or 8 best teams in the league. That's really hard.
And I guess divisional games go everywhere. So anyway, short week Thursday night, in New York, maybe they have a chance against the Jets, but the Jets are a much better team than the Patriots heading into this season. Let's go to Kyrie Irving. How about facing the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals?
You may have noticed that the finals will start in a place where you used to play, in Boston. You looking forward to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Boston's in the way in between our goals, so that's it, man.
That's a good answer by Kyrie, though. Because Kyrie could have made it about him in that moment. I do believe that's going to be something to monitor, or the emotions between the back and forth, and the fans have every right to boo the crap out of Kyrie for the way that he handled that situation in Boston. But are the Celtics fans going to get under his skin and make him do something that he shouldn't do where he loses his cool? I think that's going to be a big storyline. Here is Luka Doncic on shutting up the opposing fans. This is TNT once again with Ernie Johnson.
It's a good feeling, man. I can't lie. just go out there. It's us against them. Just stay together. But that feeling is great.
Was there one fan in particular that you kept going at early on? And
yeah.
What was that about?
I can't tell you. If I tell you, I can sue him. But, that gets me going. Everybody knows that by now, so just got to do it.
Did I mishear him there? He said, if I told you, I can sue him? Is that what he said?
I'm assuming the fan said something.
Well, I think he meant like if I told you can't sue him. Because if you're going to sue someone, I don't know if you want that information out there and then you just have it go through the lawsuit and you keep that from being prevented from being said, right? That's the way that I would logically think about it. Like if I was going to sue you, Samter, because you said something that I thought was offensive, am I going to get on the radio and go, oh, this is what Samter said? I think I'm going to keep that private so you don't really know what's coming.
That's why he's saying, I'm not going to tell you because if I tell you, then I'm going to have to sue this guy.
Okay, gotcha.
So I'm not going to tell you what he told me. I'm just going to say
so I can sue him. Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
So whatever it was that he said was actionable.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was tongue-in-cheek, to be clear. Anthony Edwards, what did you learn from this series?
What do you think you can take from what they did to stop you personally in this series and apply it to next year and beyond?
Nothing.
I know you're frustrated that you lost. That's like an easy question. That was like a JJ Redick type of response. All right, let's. Now I'm intrigued by Anthony Edwards. What went wrong for the Timberwolves?
We never clicked all together as a team in this series. Not even one game. I think that was the main thing. The last two series, we was all clicking at one time, making shots and stuff. We wasn't clicking at one time.
All right, so at least he gave an answer. He's not wrong. They weren't clicking. I really do believe that they exhaled after beating Denver. And that to them was like a win that is, in their mind, you could kind of think it's like a championship type of win because they were the defending champs. And then they weren't able to regroup from one round to the next against a very good team. Here's Charles Barkley, inside the NBA, done for this season. Next season expected to be their last. Would he go to ESPN? This is the SI Media Podcast with Jimmy Trania.
They're not going to work me like a dog.
I was going to say, you're going to be on First Take, Get Up, Scott Van Pelt. Every day it's going to be Charles 24/7.
Hey, ESPN Radio, ESPN 2, ESPN Deportes. I mean, hell no. So as much as I love ESPN, dude, I just turned 61. The notion that I'm going to be working like a dog into my mid-60s, that's definitely not going to happen.
Yeah, that would be terrible. Four-letter word, knucklehead. Absolutely would be terrible if you had to do all those jobs. He's going to NBC. I was reading an article the other day. NBC is going to try to go court Charles Barkley. They're going to try to go court Shaquille O'Neal. Kenny the Jet Smith may be the odd man out. Maybe Maria Taylor's doing the studio. I saw Andrew Marchand said that NBC probably going to have Mike Tirico be their number one play-by-play voice. If I'm Tirico, so you're now the voice of Sunday Night Football, wouldn't you rather do the studio show? I think it's a bigger deal for the NBA to be doing the studio show rather than be the lead play-by-play guy for NBC, where they're still not going to get the NBA Finals, from my understanding. It'd be like a conference final. I think being on that studio show, which Tirico's done studio shows before, Football Night in America, I think it's a bigger deal than calling the games. Because the studio show is always entertaining. Like, if you could put Tirico together with Shaq, Charles, and then whoever else they throw in there, is it Draymond, whoever? I'd rather do that personally than be doing the play-by-play. Here is Steve Sarkisian, the head coach of the Texas Longhorns, and how to get college football coaches to adhere to injury reporting rules.
Fine us. That's what they do in the NFL. I'm a big believer in this. The NFL has figured a lot of this stuff out already. They've already had to live through all of these things that have occurred. So we don't have to try to recreate the wheel so much, right? If I try to game the system and I don't report a guy and so on and so forth, fine us. We all like the money that we make, and so that's a really simple way to get us to adhere to the rules.
I think he's 100% right. And I also believe the college football coach used to be untouchable. Now with NIL and the transfer portal and people actually caring about the health and safety of these youngsters, I do believe the college football coach isn't as vulnerable or is vulnerable now. Like, you could be held accountable. Usually, like, the college football coach is basically the dictator. It's do what I say and only what I say. And they don't adhere to the rules. They do need to be held accountable, and that would be something that would be intelligent to go about. Last one. Is this really worth it? NBC Sports California with the A's announcer had a bad timing dissing Jose Siri. I'm assuming the Siri goes off on the phone. Is that a fair assumption?
No, it's all on the diamond.
Really? So it's like it's something cringeworthy?
No. I mean, it's not necessarily cringeworthy, but it's certainly bad timing, and it makes the announcer look very stupid.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey Siri, it's not your night. I'm feeling Mason Miller might have some payback in his back pocket for what Siri did to the A's yesterday. 0-1, and that's launched towards left field, and the payback comes at the bat of Jose Siri.
Next pitch.
Play it again.
Siri, it's not your night. I'm feeling Mason Miller might have some payback in his back pocket for what Siri did to the A's yesterday. 0-1, and that's launched towards left field, and the payback comes at the bat of Jose Siri.
That's amazing. Now, there's some times, and I thought it was because of obviously the last name being Siri that the Siri was going to go off, and they were talking about the phone then would start saying things. Like, there's been times I've been close to saying the word Siri when I've been ranting, like on the show. It didn't happen during my Rangers rant earlier where I lost my mind and I think I blacked out on the air. But there's been times where I've said something and then the Siri starts popping up. Like, there's once I was doing an interview on Zoom and I said something and the audio clicked out because right away it picked up the Siri. So that's what I thought it was going to be. But you're throwing that line in there, hey Siri, it's not your night, and then boom, the big play happens.
Hey Siri.
That's like the perfect material for Freezing Cold Takes, Old Takes Exposed.
Perfect. I will say this. Everyone in their car right now is freaking out because their phones are going off.
Oh, because I'm saying Siri? Siri. Hey, Siri. Hey, Siri. The Siri hasn't been working on my phone. Like, you would have thought that the fact that I just said, hey, Siri, my phone would recognize it. I don't know what it is. Siri's being stupid on my phone. Stu, did yours?
Mine just did, yes.
Yours did? Hey, Siri. It went off on my computer, not on my phone. Hey, Siri, you moron, you there? Nothing. I guess my Siri doesn't like me anymore. Maybe.
Who's the moron now, it says?
Maybe my Siri's a Panthers fan. And maybe it just won't talk to me until after the Rangers get eliminated. Maybe the Siri's in protest.
I did notice there's one cut on this sheet that you decided not to play.
Which was that?
Number 12, right before the A's.
I don't see it cut 12.
That Temple education that went from
12.
11 to
I only
13.
count to 11.
Yeah. It goes number 10, Charles Barkley. Number 11, Steve Sarkisian. Number 13 was the A's announcer. Number 12 here says something about Anton Lundell. I'm not sure. Anton Lundell. I believe he plays for the Florida Panthers. Maybe he did something last night.
I know we have Randy Moller coming on from the Panthers at 5:20.
Speaking of 1994.
Oh, jeez. Stop with the 1994 bull bleep. Stop. All right, play
that
the call.
Flame again.
Play the call. See me be very upset, and you ruin my Friday, Samter, because you're a curmudgeon. Play the call. Go ahead. Get it out of your system.
He whips it on net. A right-hand save made by Bobrovsky, and the rebound is taken out of harm's way. Luostarinen then on for Lundell. Left side of the circle. Lundell a shot, and he scores! Anton Lundell gives the Panthers their first lead of the night. He lets it rip out of the left circle. It's 2-1 with 9:38 to play here in the third.
You happy now? You good?
No, I mean, listen, I'm a Rangers fan, sort of, too.
You're not a Ranger fan.
I mean, I grew up a Ranger. You remember that 94 that you were always talking about? I was actually alive for that. I was 14 during the Rangers 94 run.
I have not heard you utter one sentence about the Rangers all season. You claiming the Rangers now is a bit fugazi.
I'm not claiming the Rangers. I'm just saying that my hockey fandom is the Rangers. I was a Rangers fan my whole life. I just don't follow hockey that much anymore.
You're a Ranger fan your whole life, but you don't follow hockey. Would you die? Yeah, you're still alive, right? I'm talking to someone with a...
Yeah, I don't want to claim to be a Rangers honk because I can't name more than 5 players on the team. So I'm not claiming the Rangers. I'm just saying that, like, if I were to pick a team, that's the Rangers.
That would be a fun segment.
Back in 94, that was my team.
How many hockey players can Samter name?
Period or on the Rangers?
No, on the Rangers.
I could do a couple last names.
Okay,
I know
ahead.
Shesterkin. I know Chris Kreider.
Mm-hmm.
Panarin or
Good.
Artemi.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is McDonough still on the team?
Oh, my God. He's been traded from Tampa Bay, then back to Tampa Bay.
How about Joe
Is he still on
Girardi?
the
Is he
team?
still on the team?
Joe Girardi.
Joe Girardi.
He's intentionally being a jackass act.
I know.
Yeah.
Just had to point it out, though.
Anyone else?
Oh, no.
How about the guy that's been a big zero
with
in
the
this
Z?
series?
Zibanejad.
Yes, very good.
Okay.
How about the big fella?
I don't know who the big fella is, but I know Lafreniere. Lafreniere.
Yes. Shake
I don't
that
know his
Laffy
first name,
Taffy.
though. Lafreniere.
Alexi Lafreniere.
There you go, that guy.
You don't know Matt Rempe?
Who? No. That's honestly a name I've never heard in my entire life.
You're Matt Rempe. If we stacked three of you together, you would be one Matt Rempe. That's how big
Give me
this
three other names. I'll see if I know them from you saying them.
So you just want three. How about Adam Fox?
The name sounds familiar, but I had no idea he'd be a Ranger.
Capo Caco.
Now you're just making things
Clearly
up.
made up.
Now you're just like looking up random letters and you're just throwing out words.
Filipino.
Like you're lying to me. You're just making stuff up. These aren't real people.
Okay.
These aren't real people.
Jimmy Vesey.
Jimmy V? I mean, I love Jimmy V.
Okay.
He was great.
Big Ranger fan, though. You know, claims him. Yeah. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Are the Celtics disrespected? We'll talk about them next. Here is the Mac Man. The Yak Man.
What city is this? What am I on?
Is Mac Man another player on the
What show am I
Rangers?
doing tonight? Is it WIP? All right. Jody Mac with you.
Jody Mac with you with your horse tickets and your cigarettes right here. Here he is, the Yak Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
Jody, we all love you. The Bills are getting creative, reportedly signing former. Yes, I got a couple of those. I remember those 6 o'clock eye on footballs. The Bills are getting creative, reportedly signing former gold medal winning wrestler Gable Steveson to join their defensive line. He has no prior football playing experience. Florida took a 3-2 lead in the Eastern Conference Finals with a win last night on the road. Tonight, Game 5 in the West with Dallas hosting Edmonton in that series. Even at 2, the Stars scored the first 2 goals Wednesday, then gave up 5 unanswered. Percentages favor the team that wins Game 5 to win the series. So Peter DeBoer said that creates urgency tonight.
Not many nights you win and you don't deserve to win. So, the teams are even. I thought, the better team won last night. I think the games we've won, we've been the better team. So we've got to up our game here at home in Game 5.
Defenseman Chris Tanev will be a game-time decision. At Wrigley this afternoon, top of the 8th, the Reds have a 4-3 lead over the Cubs. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Check out our new and improved website at infinitysportsnet.com. That's infinitysportsnet.com.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
This week's NASCAR preview is brought to you by Wendy's. With Wendy's $3 English muffin deal, you don't just get breakfast, you get a proper meal. Get your choice of a sausage or bacon, egg and cheese English muffin sandwich with small seasoned potatoes. Grab yours today. Terms apply. This week's race, this is making me hungry now, is in Madison, Illinois for the Enjoy Illinois 300. Denny Hamlin leads the point standings with 492 points. He's just ahead of Martin Truex Jr. with 487 points and Kyle Larson with 486. Real quickly before we get to the Celtics, because once you throw food in front of me, my mind just goes into the direction of what the heck I'm going to have for dinner. So I'm not doing anything tonight. This is an off night on a Friday for your boy Zach Gelb. I am chilling. I am laying low tonight. So that means to get this Rangers loss out of my system, I kind of need like trying to use the appropriate term here. A pick-me-up. Something that you just eat your sorrows away. What is the perfect eat your sorrow away type of food tonight? You could go dinner, you could go dessert. There's going to be a rotation here. I'm going to get dinner, I'm going to go get a dessert. So what do you want to go with, Santa?
There are two items, but I think they go perfectly together. Ooh. Wings and pizza. Greasy, delicious, flavorful.
I do love wings.
Wings and pizza. Get like 6 or 8 wings as an appetizer and a couple slices of pizza.
The problem is this. It's tough to find good wings now in the city. That's like the biggest thing I've noticed since the pandemic in my personal life. The subways have become a mess here in New York where there's actually violent things done in the subways. And then finding good wings is extremely tough to do. Stu, what's the pick-me-up meal tonight?
I was going to say pizza too,
or
but
the lay in the couch type of night.
Yeah, I was going to say pizza too, but
in the couch.
I'll go with a dessert. How about some ice cream, like a nice ice cream sundae or something after you have the pizza and the wings?
Okay, I like that. Well, see, that's the thing. Am I really going to go pizza, wings, and ice cream? I got a suit fitting tomorrow. I have to get up and do 2 hours at the gym instead of 1. I could go a little soft-served ice cream tonight, I think. I don't know what I'm going to do for dinner, though. That's the problem. But I love soft-serve ice cream, and it is hot now in New York. So that kind of flows perfectly, I would say. So maybe I end up going soft-serve ice cream. I could see myself doing, actually a fat burger tonight, where it's not healthy, but it's not, fully unhealthy. If I do, a hamburger with cheese, I could have a lot more gluttonous, disgusting things than that. Anywho, maybe I'll get a Wendy's burger. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll go to Wendy's. Be a good company guy. Anyway, the Celtics. Do we feel like the Celtics are getting disrespected right now? That's my question. Because I don't know what the odds are for this series, but I'm just going off the feel of the commentary that I listen to. And I think a lot of people are going to pick the Mavericks. I think we did this yesterday. Stu, you're on the Mavericks and Santa's on the Mavericks, right? No? You're not on the Mavericks
we did this
anymore?
when Mike wasn't here. We did this, I guess, Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm anti-Mavericks in any possible way. I want a sweep. I want a 30-point blowout.
You just don't like Kyrie, I'm assuming?
I can't stand Kyrie. I just in general just don't like the Mavericks.
Really?
I didn't like the Mavericks even before. Even though I liked Dirk, I never liked the Mavericks back in the day.
Why?
I don't know. I've never liked the Mavericks. They're just one of the teams I've never liked. And having Kyrie on the team, who's one of my least favorite athletes in all the sports, definitely helps make me hate them more.
And there's no reason for that animosity with the Mavericks outside that you've always not liked them. Dirk Nowitzki is one of my favorite players of all time.
I'm trying to remember if there was an impetus to it, but I can't think back and find anything. I've just never liked the Mavericks.
I've never heard anyone have that take. That is an East Coast guy that they can't stand the Dallas Mavericks. In football, if you said, let's say if Santa was a Giant fan and he said, I don't like the Cowboys. Okay, I could get that. But who was you're a Knicks fan, technically?
Sonics. The Sonics were my team back in the day. Sean Kemp, Gary Payton, Detlef Schrempf. Little Derek McKee. Sam, Sleepy Perkins, Nate McMillan. Oh, yeah.
So you are Chiefs, Sonics. I trust me, I'm bizarre in my teams. Chiefs, Sonics, Yankee.
Sun Devils.
Yeah, Sun Devil fan. If you got dressed up in all those colors at once, you would look like you just went to a Grateful Dead show.
I'm repping all 4 corners of the country. I got Washington, I got Arizona, I got New York, and I got Kansas City.
You would kind of look like the late, great, weird that we have to say it that way, Bill Walton when he would go to a Dead show where he dressed up in all the tie-dye. You are the tie-dye sports fan. That's what you are. I always liked the man. I love Cuban.
I do like Cuban.
I was a huge fan of Dirk. I love Luka. I'm not a fan. I used to be a fan of Kyrie. I had an Uncle Drew shirt, but I'm not a fan of Kyrie anymore.
I will say that I've rooted against Luka, even though I like him as a player, because somebody that I go to battle with about sports is a huge Luka honk. Maybe. You might.
Who?
Well, I'm not going to say it.
Why? Someone you go to battle with in sports is a huge Luka honk. Why won't you say who the name is? Why so protective on that?
I'm not going to out my my.
Your friends? Do they work in this building?
They may or may not have worked in this building.
Oh, so is it Gottlieb?
I'm not going to tell you.
It's Gottlieb. You used to produce Gottlieb. It had to be Gottlieb.
I don't know if I haven't talked to Gottlieb outside of the Final Four in years.
Is it Klug?
I'm not telling you who it is.
So weird. I don't know what's weirder. Him being a Mavericks hater or him not telling us who the name is. Anyway, though, to tie this together, I do think the Celtics are getting disrespected going into this. And I think the Celtics right now, they're my pick to win the NBA Finals. I'm going to say they're going to win this in 6 games. But because the Celtics haven't given us a reason to have to praise them yet because it's championship or bust, and the first 3 series really ho-hum and you knew that they were going to win, I don't think people are appreciating the Celtics and respecting the Celtics going in because they're not like Minnesota where it's pass-fail. Like the way to pass is to win the championship this year for Boston. And until they win that championship, I think people are going to disrespect them. I don't think that's necessarily unfair, but there are ways to acknowledge how great of a team they are and still maybe have some skepticism that they may not get the job done, but I think they'll get the job done. So I do believe Boston is getting disrespected. We'll take a break. I feel very weird after this segment. Samter's a Mavericks hater. Was not expecting that. That was not on my bingo card. And then Samter goes back and forth with someone on sports, but he won't tell us who it is. I got to know who Samter's talking to because it's probably perceived to be someone that could maybe stab us in the back. Is it like an enemy? Is it a rival? I don't know. Coming on back with Onside Offside, it is Zach Gelb Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond. He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
How we doing? It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Randy Moller is going to join us coming up 20 minutes from now. We will discuss the Panthers taking a 3-2 series lead against my New York Rangers. But first, without further ado, and I'm not talking about Freddie Adu, we got some questions. I'll give you some answers. We do this segment every Monday and Friday. We call it Onside, Offside. Stuart, hit it.
Zach's taking on the most polarizing issues in sports. Which side of the line of scrimmage will he end up on?
Offside. Defense number 69.
It's Onsides, Offsides with Zach Gelb.
Alrighty, Samter, what do you got?
Well, the Broncos surprised many by taking Bo Nix early in the first round, but today Sean Payton said, quote, all three QBs are doing well, especially Bo. He's doing really well. He's picking it up. He's throwing the ball extremely well. So onside, offside, forgetting about where he was drafted, Bo Nix will be a serviceable, long-term starting NFL quarterback.
It's kind of funny when you say all the quarterbacks are doing well. What has Zach Wilson done well besides being bad in the NFL? Jarrett Stidham is a backup quarterback. This is just the definition of the saying, if you say you have like 2 or 3 quarterbacks on the roster, in reality you have 0 quarterbacks on the roster. Bo Nix should win this job. Bo Nix should be better than Jarrett Stidham. Bo Nix should be better than Zach Wilson. But that's a low bar. That's a really low bar. Like, think about one of the worst people at your company, like an incompetent person at your company. Don't say it, Samter. And then think about someone who's like below average. And then think if you're working with them and you're a good employee, how that's going to go. Obviously, you're going to shine compared about what you're going up against, but it doesn't mean that you're great at what you do. I don't think Bo Nix is going to succeed with Sean Payton, and I don't think Bo Nix is going to succeed in Denver. I think he will never be a top 10 quarterback in the league. If you want to tell me there's a year where he's like a top 15, okay, but I don't think it's going to be top 10. I think he's fine. I don't think he's very good. I don't think he's great. So you asked me, will Bo Nix be a serviceable long-term starting quarterback in the NFL? I think it's more offside, where he could be like serviceable is not just being fine, being having like a 6 or 7 year career, right? As a starter, I don't think that's serviceable, so I'll go offside on that.
Offside.
All right, what else we got?
Now, the NFL London series began in 2007 with just one game. This year, we'll get 3 games in London, 1 in Brazil, and 1 in Germany. This week, London Mayor Sadiq Khan said, quote, "The Super Bowl is really important for us. I want it to come here."
Oh, you're saying there's going to be 3 games in London, 1 in Brazil, and 1 in Germany.
So there's 5 international games this year, whereas back in 2007, there's just 1 international game.
At first, I was going to say, that London, Brazil, and Germany are all different. The way that I just heard that, like I'm operating on a little bit slow today. When you have somewhere that's in a country or a state, and then there's like different cities, obviously, simple stuff. That's what I thought how you were presenting that at first. You're like, oh, there's 3 London games, 1 of them being in Brazil, 1 of them being in Germany. And I was like, that ain't making sense to me.
Well, for someone who lived in London, has been to Germany and Brazil, I think I know the difference between the 3.
Yeah.
Now, this week, London Mayor Sadiq Khan said, quote, "The Super Bowl is really important for us. I want it to come here because we want American sports fans in Europe to come to London to watch them, not just go to America." So onside, offsides, whether you want it or not, there will be a Super Bowl in London in the next 10 years.
And Sadiq Khan has no relationship to the Khan family that owns the Jacksonville Jaguars?
I don't believe so, no.
Just because there was always those jokes that maybe the Jaguars would be moving across the pond. So I was wondering if there was any connection there. There will be a Super Bowl in London in the next 10 years. I hope not. This is going to sound very American of me, and I'm not going to apologize. The Super Bowl should always be played in the United States. And I can guarantee this. We ain't getting sent out to London if the Super Bowl's in London. Like, they'll send us anywhere in the United States. We are not getting sent to London Super Bowl week.
So my question is, not if you want it to be there or if it should be there.
Yeah, will there be?
Will there be?
There's times where sometimes you give an answer and it's an emotional answer and you don't have to deal with reality. That's one of those answers. I'm giving you an emotional answer. It shouldn't be there. So when you ask me, will there be a Super Bowl in London in the next 10 years? I'm going to say offside. That actually, like Roger Goodell, just retire if you're putting a Super Bowl in London. You should reward every U.S. city first, U.S. state first before you put a Super Bowl in London. That's just the way that I'm always going to think about that. You want to see a Super Bowl in London? The travel issues too, and teams are there for a full week. That's a nightmare.
So every state before London. So you're saying that we should get a game in Wyoming and Idaho, Delaware before we get London?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to hear a good dad joke?
I would love to.
What did Mississippi sip?
What did Mississippi sip?
Mm-hmm.
No idea.
A mini soda.
Ha 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 ha.
What did Delaware?
A Maryland? I don't know.
No, a New Jersey.
Ah, Bazin!
Dun, dun. That's my dad joke.
And you're not even a dad yet.
Well, not that I know of. But yeah.
There's a little Zach running around somewhere.
I hope not. Like in that movie Game Plan. I have weird movie references when The Rock just has the daughter show up to the door. And
I don't think I saw that one.
Yeah.
I saw the one where he was the Tooth Fairy.
No, he was the quarterback in Game Plan in Boston.
Oh, yes. I remember seeing the commercials for that one. Yeah.
It's actually a good movie.
Yeah. As good as Like Mike?
Like Mike is a great movie.
Oh, boy.
You know what? I was so happy when you were out for 3 weeks so we didn't hear these dumb takes that Like Mike isn't a good movie. Like Mike is a phenomenal movie. You know what? That actually came up in one of my conversations when you weren't here. One of our bosses were listening, and they brought that up about you not seeing Like Mike and you being a hater of Like Mike, and they're like, that's crazy that he didn't see Like Mike. People were very upset.
I have to know which boss is.
And the boss is an older boss. So he was like, hey, that's crazy because he's much older than you, and even he has seen Like Mike.
That's surprising to me, but okay, I'll take your word for it.
A well-respected person here at the company, too.
Okay, all right. I have an idea of who it might be, but I will refrain from saying it on the air, just like I won't talk about who I'm battling with about Luka Doncic. So number 3, the NFLPA.
Should I say it, Stu? Should I say it? because I
don't
bullied
do that to
Samter.
Mike.
I bullied Samter in the break to get the name. I picked Samter up by his ankles, and I said, "Give me your lunch money."
I can't believe you gave me a swirly. I haven't gotten one of those in at least 3 weeks. Now, the NFLPA is proposing a plan, and we talked about this a little bit, to eliminate all voluntary offseason workouts. But Browns lineman Shelby Harris says he doesn't know anyone who supports the idea, while Saints quarterback Derek Carr went one step further while talking to Chris Long on his podcast.
I don't know how everyone else feels about it. I really haven't kept up, but it may be unpopular. But I think the skill that it takes to play all of our positions would go down because you have less time on task. I don't know. Like, as a quarterback, your timing, your rhythm, your accuracy, all of that in April isn't at its best, but you use these practices and these OTAs to get there. I mean, the NFL season's already long, and you're going to start it a month earlier. To me, I mean, I think for young guys too, that would be hard. There's so much that the young players have to learn where I think OTAs are beneficial.
So onside, offside, eliminating voluntary workouts will be bad for the NFL.
So let me be clear on my stance on OTAs. I find them monotonous when I had to go cover them. But for the players, I do think there is some value, especially when you're a quarterback and you're trying to be a leader and things like that. So eliminating voluntary workouts would be bad for the NFL. Yeah, I would say so, because look how sloppy the product is now with how soft they got already. If they then take away OTAs and they try to make it one big training camp where there's still going to be all limitations and you try to ram your body up like closer to the season, I don't think that's going to be good. Like it used to be, Belichick would kind of talk about September being the extension of the preseason. That's now bled over into October. And they're talking about adding another game too. Yeah, I don't think you could diminish the importance of practice. Just keep it voluntary, where you're not required to show up, but if you do, you could gain something from it. So eliminating voluntary workouts would be bad for the NFL on sides.
The Steelers QB room features Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, and while Russ is expected to start, he appears to be open to having Fields take some in-game snaps, saying, quote, Justin is one of the most talented guys in the NFL. He's dynamic.
Yeah,
it's all about us winning. That's the focus. I think it would strike fear in some defenses, that's for sure. So onside, offsides, the Steelers should use Justin Fields in special offensive packages.
Onsides, because I think down by the goal line and also trick plays, he could be very beneficial. But that is such a phony answer by Russell Wilson. Because there's a chance you get taken off the field, and Russ doesn't want to get taken off the field, because then if Field shines in some smaller packages, then people may turn on you if you don't play at the certain standard. But Russ has just turned into being such a phony person the last few years. The Steelers should use Fields in special offensive packages. Yes, I would do that onsides.
Last one, the Inside the NBA crew with Ernie Johnson, Charles Barkley, Shaq, and Kenny Smith appears headed for a split as new TV deals get negotiated. A new report indicates that the new NBA rights holder might potentially keep Ernie, Charles, and Shaq together, but replace Kenny Smith. So onside, offsides, you're okay with this crew replacing Kenny Smith?
Onsides, I think EJ, and he said this before, Ernie Johnson's going to stay at TNT. So I do think they'll need a new studio host, assuming that this does go to NBC. I think it's likely that Shaq, Charles, new studio host, and then someone else will be the crew. But I'm okay with them replacing Kenny the Jet Smith. That is onsides. Real quickly, I just want to play some audio here. Give me Dave Taub, the Chiefs special teams coach, on using Justin Reed to kick off instead of their kicker, who's been in the news a lot, in Harrison Butker.
If you watch the XFL, we watched every play. I bet kickers were involved in probably at least 25 to 40% of the tackles. We don't want Butker in that situation. Well, Justin can cover. I mean, he can kick, which he can do, and then he can go down there and make tackles. He's an extra guy that they're probably not accounting for.
So the new kickoff rule, the team receiving the kickoff, most of their players besides two are lined up at the 30. And then the team kicking the ball, everyone besides the kicker, is lined up at the 40. There's a 5-yard separation. And then once the ball lands in the landing zone, which I think is anywhere from the goal line to the 20, that's when everyone, once the ball is caught or lands, is allowed to move. I never thought about it from the kicking perspective, because this is going to create more returns. And you even heard Dave talk about maybe the potential of kickers having to make more tackles than normal. And I don't really trust kickers to make tackles. So the Justin Reed connection here, if he could kick and could kick very well, that's going to be something to watch. Justin Reed was asked about this today, or it wasn't even asked about it. He just gave the answer when he was at the White House as the Chiefs are celebrating their back-to-back Super Bowl championships.
Tell us about your plans for next NFL season.
Yeah, next NFL season? Well, this is great new kickoff rule. It's really going to allow me to shine, so I'm excited about going down and.
So that's the excitement for Justin Reed. I'm going to be fascinated by that because the first crappy kick that he has, people are going to be like, this is why you put the traditional kicker there. But I do think that there is a benefit of having him there because with how close those guys are within a 5-yard stretch of each other, 5-yard distance of each other, there's going to be a lot of times where you're going to have someone. I kind of think this is gimmicky too. It's like the NFL says, we care about player safety, so we got to get rid of the kickoff. And then they're upset now that the returns are going away, so now they want to see more kickoff returns. It's kind of tough to take in, but that kicker is going to be put in a position more than one time a game, I think, to go make a tackle. And having someone out there like Reed, I do think is beneficial. You think the Chiefs will actually go through with that, Santa? You being a big Chiefs fan or claiming to be one?
I think in certain situations, especially if there's like a post-touchdown penalty where they get to kick the ball a little bit farther up. I mean, we've seen Justin Reed kick 50, 60-yarders in practice, and we've seen him kick extra points, so clearly the guy can do it. And if we're talking about, if we're seeing kickers legitimately have to make tackles, outside of Pat McAfee, most of these kickers can't and should not be getting anywhere near any of these players to try to make a tackle. So if you can help have a kicker who can also be a tackler, like someone like Justin Reed, I mean, I think it's a huge advantage for a team like the Chiefs.
How many times do you see these kickers when they have to make tackles, then they get hurt? That's another thing, too. And if you lose your kicker, if you have someone that can do the kickoff and you know that your kicker is going to be healthy, all right, he go hit a 50-yard field goal at the end of the game. You lose that kicker and because he had to go make a tackle and you don't have a field goal kicker for a second half of a big game, like a playoff, whatever, that's a problem. It's a big-time problem. All righty, Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. Randy Moller will join us next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show. I was at Madison Square Garden last night as the Rangers lose to the Florida Panthers. We know the Panthers did go to the Stanley Cup Final a year ago, and they are up 3-2, and they could eliminate the Rangers tomorrow evening in Florida. Randy Moller. I love this dude. I remember when he was the play-by-play voice for the Florida Panthers. He'd always give a movie line whenever a goal would happen. So someone would score, he'd be like, "Ma, where's the meatloaf?" And now he's a part of the TV broadcast for the Florida Panthers as an analyst for a long time. He played for the Nordiques, the Rangers, the Sabres, and the Florida Panthers, and he's here with us. Randy, appreciate the time. How you been, my man?
Oh, good. It's a great. It's hot down here in South Florida, but it'll be a great day tomorrow for a hockey game. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think today sucks, honestly, Randy, because last night, that was miserable being a Rangers fan. And it's, you know what's crazy with the Panthers? And I have great respect for them. I thought they were the best team entering the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Rangers finally started to get ahead of them in the shot advantage, where at one point I remember looking up after having another whiskey ginger, and it was like 17-12 in favor of the Rangers. And then in a blink of an eye, the Panthers are up in the shot department like 30-18. How much they've possessed the puck throughout this series is just wild to me.
Yeah, that's the team identity for the Florida Panthers. You know, they're known around the league. They're the best forechecking, the most aggressive, physical team in the NHL, and they're proving that. And they've had success playing that way. Where they get themselves into trouble with highly skilled teams like the Rangers is you start trading those odd man rushes back and forth. And we all know the Rangers are so dangerous with their top six forwards, and they can score on the rush, and of course their power play in that. But for the Florida Panthers, I think they've played to the script that they've written up for themselves, and that's been fairly disciplined. Stay out of the penalty box. They know the Rangers can hurt any team on the power play, and then they just go about it. They're just riverboat gamblers in the sense that they will throw three-man in on the forecheck. Their defensemen will pinch down the walls to keep the play alive. They live by that. They die by that. But when it's going well for them, they've got a lot of puck possession, and they get a lot of high quality scoring chances. And I think that's been proven here in this Rangers series so far.
What specifically have you seen them do up against Artemi Panarin and Mika Zibanejad? Because neither through 5 games have a goal in this series.
Well, number one, it's very difficult because those you mentioned those two players along with Trocheck. I mean, they're top end, highly skilled, intelligent players, and they can do things with the puck that 90% of the NHL players can't. So the number one thing is, Paul Maurice talks about it, and the players talk about it as well, as awareness when they're on the ice. And then I did an interview a couple of days ago, and they asked me specifically what would be the key for the game that went on last night. And I just say the positioning of the Panthers. And what I mean by that is their position on the right side of the puck. If you're on the right side of the puck, and majority of the time, that's you're standing in between your opponent and your net. And if you're on the right side of that, then it makes it difficult for these highly skilled players like you're talking about, Panarin and Zibanejad, to make those plays and cut to the net. And I think the Panthers have excelled at that, and that has to continue, because if you get on the wrong side of these players, they can burst off the walls and they can cut into the holes and get into shooting positions that you really don't want. And I think that's the reason why they have, for the most part, been successful keeping Zibanejad and Chris Kreider and Panarin, pretty neutral. And yeah, they're going to get their chances. They're so skilled and knowledgeable, and they play off of each other, and that they will get their chances. But it's all about limiting those chances and making sure they're not high danger shooting chances.
Randy Moller here with us, Panthers TV analyst, of course, played in the NHL for a bunch of years. I want to ask you more about Artemi Panarin. We know how great he was in the regular season, and he had a good start to the postseason, too. There's just been times this series, I'm not taking anything away from the Panthers, they're sensational, but even when he's open and he has some space and the puck gets sent his way, that the puck just goes over his stick or he just mishandles it, do you don't think there's something maybe a little bit going on with Panarin where the stage is kind of getting to him a little bit and he's doing some things that are uncharacteristic?
Well, you don't want to criticize a world-class player like that, but the way I'll answer that question is the Panthers did the same thing against Stamkos and Kucherov in round number 1. The same thing with Pasternak with the Bruins in round number 2. For the most part, yeah, they did get some points because they are going to get their points, but not allow them to get 7, 8, 9 goals in a 7-game series or whatever. And they were successful at that. The Panthers are a physical team, and every time Panarin is going to touch the puck or Zibanejad, he's going to get bumped. And after a while, it takes a toll, and there might be some fatigue. That plays in a lot of it. The Panthers, not only with the injuries that they had last year in the finals, but it was proven they had nothing left in the tank when they went up in the finals against the Vegas Golden Knights. And these playoffs, people talk about it, and I've played in them as well. It's the toughest trophy, the most physically, mentally demanding trophy to win in all of sports, pro or amateur. It is so difficult to win. And fatigue, there's an old saying, fatigue makes cowards of us all. And that plays into it. And you don't know. You mentioned about Panarin. We don't know if he's 100% or not. Well, most of these players are playing with bumps and bruises and nicks and that kind of stuff. You just don't know how serious it is. I don't know if Panarin is injured at all, but that could be a reason why he's just not getting that burst of speed and darting into those holes and be as dangerous as we normally expect him to be.
Talking to Randy Moller right now. From the Panthers' perspective, we all remember their story last year. It was a great unexpected run. When they're down 3-1 to the Bruins early on, no one's thinking they're going to even get out of that series, let alone go to the Stanley Cup final. They have gotten even better this year, and we know, like pound for pound, I told you earlier, I think they're the best team in hockey, and I said that going into the playoffs. What has impressed you the most this year after a big run that they went on last year that the Panthers got even better this year?
Well, it started with the first day of training camp. leaders like Kachuk, Barkov, Reinhart, Bennett, Ekblad. You go up and down the list. Their only motivation was to get back to the Stanley Cup Finals and win it and win the cup. That was their motivation. It wasn't just to make the playoffs or have a great regular season, and that everything that they have done, and it goes to the coaching staff and the players themselves, because they're the one that have to execute. Everything is to build for the playoffs and to go deep and get back to the finals. That was their only motivation. That's all they talked about. So they've really changed. Like you mentioned, last year was kind of a Cinderella story. They snuck in the back door on the last day of the regular season to even qualify for the playoffs, and then they come with that heroic comeback against the Bruins. This team's a lot different now. They know what it takes. They know what kind of team they have. They believe in themselves, and they believe in the talent, and I think there's a bit of confidence, not arrogance, but confidence that, hey, they know that they're a good team, and if they play the style that they're built, and which is very physical and a lot of forcing plays and puck pursuits and and then if you get the goaltending like they've received from Sergei Bobrovsky, that they can beat anybody in a 7-game series. And there's going to be the odd night where all of a sudden things just don't go right and they're out of sync, and we've seen that so far in the playoffs as well. They lost a game against Tampa, same thing against Bruins, 5-1, where they were just completely out of sync. But it seems like they have a short memory, and they're able to just, turn it aside, turn the page, prepare the next day, and get right back on the horse, and then go about their business. They're the most resilient team. It goes back to last year and then all the way through this year. They're the most resilient team I've ever seen. They don't let bad goals, they don't let bad bounces or bad losses really bring them down. They don't get too high, they don't get too low. They're pretty confident with their comments after wins and after losses. And a big reason for that, I think, is the play of Sergei Bobrovsky.
Yeah.
The way that he handles himself and prepares for the games and that. I said it 3 years ago at the Panthers when they won the President's Cup 3 years ago, whatever it was. I said the only way this team will ever get to the Stanley Cup finals is on the back of Sergei Bobrovsky, and they're riding them right now.
Wrapping up with Randy Moller for a few more moments. Moller, let me ask you about Igor Shesterkin. He's been sensational. I think he's the best goalie in the NHL, and he's playing like it right now. I'll ask you this, and I'll give you the fan perspective, right? You have the former player, probably proper analyst hat on. The only way I think the Rangers could win Game 6 is if they just realize they have let down their goaltender and they just go to war for him in a Game 6, and you just see an extra push and a little extra motivation that leads them to victory. So I'll ask you, how do the Rangers win Game 6 in Florida?
Yeah, well, that's just it. And, I'd be remiss if not to mention that the heroic play of Shesterkin, he is just all world. And this is not a flash in the pan. I mean, the Rangers, if you look back, boy, have they been fortunate with Van Beesbroek and Richter and, of course, the King, Lundqvist, and now Shesterkin. They are in good hands. He is everything that everybody talks about. He's world-class goaltender and that, and he's going to have to have another amazing game. He has been obviously their best player throughout the series for the Rangers, and he's going to have another one because the Panthers, they create so many chances off that pressure that he's going to have to come up with some huge saves, like he did last night.
Last thing I'll ask you, Oilers and Stars. We have game number 5 this evening. This series all tied up at 2 apiece. It's been a wild series. It's always wild this time of the year in the Stanley Cup playoffs. You know, the Oilers, no pun intended, have these stars in McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. But Dallas, they are just so well-rounded. They have great 4 lines, and they have a good mix of youth and some older players. And Pete DeBoer, one of the best coaches out there in the league with how many teams he's been on and how far he's been, even though he hasn't won a Stanley Cup. Do you lean Dallas to win this series, or do you think it's just Connor McDavid's time to get to a Stanley Cup final?
I kind of lean on for the Oilers to win. If they can just the Oilers are kind of to me, they're just a maddening team in that they got so much talent. Of course, you talk about McDavid the best player in the world, and Draisaitl and Hyman the way he can pop goals, and they're dangerous on the Bouchard on the power play and that. But boy, oh boy, they just have lapses where they just self-destruct. And I think if they're able to put together a 60-minute game, and with the offense that they have, that they should come away and win this series. I have the utmost respect for the Dallas Stars. They're so deep all the way through 4 lines, 6 defense. But Tanev, if he's unable to play tonight because of that injury and his foot is in a boot because he blocked a shot, that is a serious blow to the Dallas Stars, because Tanev has been one of the mainstays in trying to keep McDavid, from scoring 3-4 goals a game, and he's been pretty successful at it. So that's the way I size up this series. If the Oilers can play a more rounded game and just take care of their own end and not make stupid passes and plays that just decimates them, I think it's their time to get into the finals.
He is Randy Moller, TV analyst for the Florida Panthers all throughout the year. Moller, appreciate the time. Have a good weekend.
All right. Thanks for having me on, guys. Talk to you later.
You got it. There he is, Randy Moller, joining us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. I could sense it now. Monday will be a very interesting show. We either have a Game 7 to get ready for, or I may show up to work and just wearing all black, which is a possibility. We'll see if the Rangers can get one in Game 6. Let me get your opinion on this. Mm-hmm. So I think the Stars are going to beat the Oilers in this series in what's now a best of 3.
I like the Stars to begin with. So
yeah, so did I. Where are you at with the Rangers? Do you think this gets to Game 7?
I would only say yes because of Igor Shesterkin. He gives them a shot.
So here's what I think's going to happen, and I hate to say this. I think the Rangers are going to win Game 6 and they're going to lose Game 7.
I could see that scenario as well. It's like a why bother?
It's going to be so much like the Tampa Bay series where they lose Game 5, going back to the 2015 conference final. Then they win Game 6. Mm-hmm. They go, okay, back to the team that we thought. And then in Game 7, it will go. It's just the difference to me is how much the Panthers control the puck. And
yeah,
I think there's too many lapses where the Rangers don't show a pulse.
They've been the best team in the series. There's no question about it.
Yeah. Well, Muller's talking about these letdown games the Panthers have sometimes where they just lose 5-1. Could we get that in Game 6?
Wouldn't mind that. That would be a nice feel good to go home, It
would be very nice. All righty, we will take a timeout. We'll wrap up shop when we return. Yesterday, we did our 7 AFC playoff teams. Right now, just getting kind of a pulse check as we sit here at the end of May. We'll do the NFC when we come on back. Update time. Here he is, the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
An interesting story out of Buffalo where former Olympic wrestling gold medalist Gable Steveson is trying his hand at the NFL, reportedly signing with the Bills and is expected to slot in along their defensive line. He has never played football at all. Last night, the Florida Panthers were able to win Game 5 on the road to go up 3-2. Tonight, the Oilers will try to do the same in the Western Conference with Game 5 in Dallas. Edmonton evened the series with 5 unanswered goals after falling behind 2-0 on Wednesday night. It was some comeback, but head coach Chris Knobloch looking for a more consistent game from his team.
Need to clean up is just having the 60 minutes. And, each team's been having their roller coaster moments where this looked really well and other times when they can't really generate very much. And, we'd like to have more of a push for 60 minutes.
Baseball today at Wrigley Field. It was the Reds over the Cubs by a score of 5-4. The Phillies have the best record in baseball. They go for their 40th win tonight against the Cardinals with 6-2. Aaron Nola on the mound. Well, the Yankees have also won 39 games. They go for their 3rd straight when they open a series against the Giants in San Francisco. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, like us on Facebook. Our handle is INF Sportsnet. That's INF Sportsnet for our Facebook page. This is the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick. From the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh, my God, we're back again.
It is the Zach Gelb Show, the Infinity Sports Network. It's time to answer our Ask the Pros question of the day. It's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Dave in Cherry Hills says, Zach, who's your early pick to win the NBA Finals? You can submit a question by tweeting at INFSportsNet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Celtics in 6. You know what kind of sucks? So we go through Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday is game 1 of the NBA Finals. Like, can we push that up to Tuesday? If I was Adam Silver, first off, I have a spine, so I can't be Adam Silver. I would just move up the NBA Finals to start on Tuesday. We're going to have layoff now Saturday. Well, technically today's a day of layoff. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. That's 7 days. That's crazy. That's too much. Way too much. They're not going to. That ship has already sailed, but they got to move this up. But I go Celtics in 6 right now would be my pick. Anyway, yesterday we gave you our 7 AFC playoff teams. Now we'll go around the room. We will give the 7 NFC playoff teams. I will save my teams for last because I'm curious if you guys are going to go first, and I don't want to change any opinions. So let's start with Stu. Who is your NFC East winner entering this season?
I will go with the Eagles to win the division.
Bouncing back. So another year where there's not a repeat division winner in the NFC since the early 2000s. Who is going to win the NFC North?
I'll go with the Packers. I think it's going to be a big year for Jordan Love. Kind of his next jump,
step,
if you will. Josh Jacobs is a good acquisition. I think it's going to be close between another team who I have making the playoffs in that division, but I think it is the Packers that win it.
Lions fans? Stu, where can they find you on Twitter?
Uh-oh. At Stu K Sports.
Yeah. Stu doesn't know sports if he's not picking the Lions and Dan Campbell. Who's winning the NFC South?
Definitely the Falcons.
Okay. And the NFC West?
49ers.
Okay. 3 wild card teams. Give me your first NFC wild card team.
The Lions would be my first one. I think they'll be the closest to winning a division and the number 1 wild card team.
Next wild card team?
Cowboys.
Ooh, how about them Cowboys? And
so I was
between
between a bunch of teams for this one, including the Rams, Seahawks, even the Vikings, Bucks. You know, there are a couple teams in there. But I think the Bears. I think Caleb Williams, year 1, I think they make the playoffs. I like the weapons that he has. And I think 3 NFC North teams do make the playoffs, so I'll go with the Bears.
I have 2 teams on one team. I'm just going through this. On my list that you do not have. One team on my list that you do not have. I disagree. Yeah. There's one team on your list that I have trimmed off. One team. We'll wait for that in a second. Samter, what do you got? NFC East winner.
I got 2 teams that Stu does not have.
Ooh, okay. So let's go. NFC East winner.
How about them Cowboys winning the NFC East? Back to back to back. I was thinking about the Giants, but I decided to go Cowboys instead.
Oh, it'll just be back to back. Yeah. Wouldn't it be back to back to back?
Because it's just more fun to say back to back to back to back to back.
Back to back, belly to belly. Okay, yes. NFC North.
I am not going to piss off Detroit. Let's go Lions.
I thought you were going to say I'm going to piss off Detroit. I'm going with the Vikings.
No, sir.
All righty, South.
I'm going back to back again. Tampa Bay Bucks. Ooh. I am not a believer in a Kirk Cousins coming back from an Achilles injury with a team that I know has talent, but they haven't done anything yet. I'm going with the Bucks to repeat as division champs.
And by the way, let's play you this. This is Michael Penix Jr. with us yesterday on the Infinity Sports Network right here on the Zach Gelb Show exclusively about avoiding the outside noise about him and Kirk Cousins. Listen up.
I mean, we grown men, we not worried about, the outside noise. We just want to win football games. So at the end of the day, we all got the same goals. So there's no reason for, me and Kirk to be bumping heads or anything like that. So I don't know why people would, think that or expect that, but we all want to win football games, and coach going to do what's best for the team, and that's how it works. And like I said, I'm going to learn, I'm going to develop, continue to get better, and whenever my number is called, I know I'm going to be ready. So that's all I can do.
So Samter has the Bucks winning the NFC South. Will this create maybe an earlier call to get Michael Penix Jr. on the field than we think? We'll see if he has them in as a wild card team. Because if they don't, then a lot of people after this year are going to say, put Michael Penix Jr. in and say goodbye to Kirk Cousins. You go Niners win the NFC West?
I do, but only because Aaron Donald retired. Had Aaron Donald not retired, I would have had the Rams winning that division.
Okay.
And then my wild card teams, I got...
Go one at a time. Who's the first one?
I got the Eagles.
Okay.
I got the Pack.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the Rams.
The Rams. So you are not in on the Bears like Stu is.
I think the Rams the Bears are going to contend, but I just don't think they're going to get. I think they're close. Mm-hmm. They're just a little bit too young, and we don't know what we're going to get from Caleb Williams yet. I wouldn't be surprised, but no, I don't have them in.
There are two teams that you have that I do not have.
I certainly know that you don't have the Bucs. I know you're all in on the Falcons.
And there's one team that Stu has that I don't have, but don't give it away here.
I can guess. I have a guess.
You can take a guess. I'm not going to confirm nor deny. Take a guess.
I think you have the Cowboys missing the playoffs.
I'm not going to confirm nor deny. But I will tell you, NFC East winner, the Eagles.
Uh-oh.
NFC North winner, the Detroit Lions. NFC South winner, the Atlanta Falcons. NFC West, I sat there and I thought for a second maybe going the Rams. It's funny how you said that. And then I'm like, they had Aaron Donald maybe, but they don't. So I went with the 49ers, the NFC West. Here are my wild card teams in order. Rams in at 5. Packers in at 6. And in at 7. The drama, Dallas, choking Cowboys are not going to be on my list.
I knew it.
Jerry Jones is playing with fire. Dak Prescott, final year of the contract. Mike McCarthy, final year of the contract. The coach already annoyed at Micah Parsons for not showing up to voluntary OTAs. I think the Cowboys, they fall just a little far back this offseason. This will be good. This will be respectable, but they'll just miss the playoffs. And my final wildcard team, the Bears.
I'm surprised nobody said the Seahawks.
So here's the thing. I like Seattle's offense. I don't know what Mike McDonald will be as a head coach. So that's the hesitation. I also did consider the Minnesota Vikings because I like their offense, but I don't love their defense, even though Flores did a good job improving it. And that's where I kind of drew the line in the sand. Tampa Bay, I like that you're on Tampa Bay. I'll give you credit for that because you got Evans, you got Godwin. I love Mike Evans. Their defense did lose a few pieces, but you still have Antoine Winfield. You got some players on that team, obviously. And Todd Bowles, did take that team to the playoffs last year, so I'll give him credit. The NFC, here's what I learned through the exercise. It's catching up. It's not where the AFC is. But last year, we went into this, we're like, oh, man, the NFC is dreadful. I don't look at the NFC as dreadful this year. We just did this exercise, and there's a legitimate 4 or 5 teams that you could be angry with for not, me not putting them in the playoffs. Or you could suggest them, and I could be like, okay, there's a chance that they make the playoffs. I don't think the Commanders make the playoffs. I don't think the Giants make the playoffs. I think every team in the NFC North has a chance to make the playoffs this year. The NFC South, I don't trust Derek Carr, and I don't trust the Panthers, obviously, so I can't go with either of them. And in the NFC West, I do think the Cardinals are going to be better. I think Seattle's a wild card. They can make the wild card this year. I don't think that's crazy.
They're a wild card, but not a wild card team.
Yeah, I've done that now twice.
Yeah.
That, and then when Johnny Lazarus was in studios with us, I'm like, Edmonton has the Stars. And he's like, but they're playing the Stars. And I was like, oh, that kind of threw me off.
So what's the fallout for the Cowboys not making the playoffs? McCarthy gone, Dak
gone, Belichick in.
Wow.
McCarthy gone, Belichick in. I don't know where Dak will be playing next year. There's still a chance. I think he's more likely to be back in Dallas than not.
If he's not back in Dallas, give me one team where you think he goes.
Seattle.
Wow.
Why, you want the Raiders?
Damn. Yeah. Give me Dak.
That'd be a good quarterback for you, actually.
The Raiders would be such a cool... Dak in that silver and black?
You know what? Good rhyming. I would also be on board with that because then we have an incentive to go see the Raiders play football and, more importantly, go get a meal at Piero's. Just get that veal parm. I had a listener reach out to me like, I hear how much you talk about food. I know you know your food. I'm going to Vegas. Should I go to this place? And they suggested a restaurant that I love in Miami that's also out there in Las Vegas, Joe Stone Crab. I'm like, no. I'm like, go to Piero's. And you could thank me in 2 weeks when you go. And then I showed him the whole menu and everything. He's like, okay, that looks bomb. Anyway, fun show today, fun week. We will be back on Monday. Thank you. Have a fun, safe weekend. And we'll talk to you Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. We out. Bye-bye. Peace. Go Rangers!